like to introduce to you some of my best friends that I just met. This is, I'll go ahead and you see over here we have David versus Goliath, unlocking growth in the alternative cloud market. My name is Adam Weeks. I have Preston, James, and Tim. They're going to join us on the stage. Come on out, gentlemen, and we will get started. All right, have a comfy seat. And as many of you may or may not know, there is a Goliath that is standing on a giant hilltop and beating his chest, and he is waving his sword. And I want you to get the full picture of this. It's a biblical narrative. And as we were talking at the end, we now have a time to talk to our Davids, and not to basically to spoil the story, but the story does end with David cutting the head off of Goliath. Your words. No, All right. Hyperscalers are, in my belief, I can say this, a threat to our industry. And they are doing their very best to grow and take up as much market share as possible. We have three individuals who are saying there is another way. There is an alternative to these options that some people think that's the only way we can grow our business. But you're looking for a partner. And so I'm going to start, Preston, on the end. If you could just give me a brief background of who you are, where your company is, and we'll get started after that.
Perfect, thank you. Preston Gosden, CEO of Limestone Networks. We're a global bare metal provider. We're headquarters out of Dallas, Texas, and been around since 2007.
And you have bare metal, correct?
That's correct.
All right. Tim.
Tim Rawi, founder and CEO of Shark Tech.
There we go.
Sorry. Tim Rawi, founder and CEO of Shark Tech. We started in 2003 as a hosting provider, mainly bare metal, and since 2020 we have moved into a cloud solution service provider.
All right, thank you. And James.
James Webb.
You're there.
You good?
Oh, we're still missing the mic.
Hello. There we go. We're good.
There you go.
All right.
Good.
Excellent. James Webb, the COO for Big Scoots. We are primarily a managed provider for WordPress, but like these two here, we also run our own data center space. And when we say data center, we mean boots on the ground. Like our employees can walk to your servers, basically.
Yeah.
So it's that level of data center.
Or run.
Your stuff.
Or run.
Or run to it if it's urgent. Your stuff is here. And that it's kind of nice to be able to point to a physical box.
Yeah, your cloud are actually servers.
30 feet away.
Yeah? All right. I want to help set the scene for what the problem is. We don't buy anything, we don't take action unless there is a problem. And many people can say, well, these hyperscalers, Microsoft and Amazon and all those, how are you ever going to outspend them? Someone was telling me last night, had a conversation that I think Amazon last year spent $30 billion in Germany alone on infrastructure. Do you have $30 billion to spend on Germany? Probably not going to happen. Make your case. How do you compete? Preston, I'm going to start with you. How do you compete with that type of spending?
It's a good question.
I do my best.
Yeah. Let's see. Competing with somebody, I mean, it's not going to be a dollar for dollar thing, right? We know it's going to be value adds in a different direction. So customer service is going to be top of mind there. Giving just that user experience, and making sure they understand that they're not just an ant on a log like we were talking earlier, and bringing that full picture forward.
Yeah, I think that's interesting in that ant on a log visual is that for these large companies, other seemingly large companies are a sliver of what they do. But for each of your companies, you have a vested interest in making them happy. Tim, could you share a little bit about what that's like to serve somebody that has that problem? If you could just, like, maybe you have an example, a case study of a client that you were able to solve a problem for.
Absolutely. So, I mean, just to get to the economy of scale, where Amazon is able to first use like $30 billion in Germany, that's not necessarily showing you as an economy of scale that you are going to be able to get a better pricing or a better service from these vendors. It does not equate to that. It's just now we have reached a point of monopolies that they are able to leverage that to provide a more locked down environment to their customers. And that gives them the ability to actually do those spending. From our perspective, and what we provide as a value add is the customer service, the customization of the solution, providing the customer the ease of mind of managing their infrastructure for them, giving them the ability to transfer their workloads, being able to be there for them when they need us. So from examples of customers of doing that, so we helped so many customers migrate out of Amazon, and the way that they looked at it, and they saw the cost savings, their ability to work and integrate with other cloud service providers has been extremely important for us. Showing them that we can provide the stability, the reliability, and the scalability of the big cloud has been absolutely phenomenal for us.
That's great. Thank you. James, we were talking earlier, and you shared something that kind of surprised me as we were talking about how much these other companies are spending for their hardware, and that might actually have some positive benefits for our Davids in this scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you take the good and the bad when it comes to hyperscalers, big box cloud, whatever you want to call them. And one thing that we've seen, again, running our own network, is that there's been this SKU consolidation through you look at, like, again, Amazon, right? If they purchase 20 million 400 gig optics, 400 gig FR4 optics.
They purchased 20 million of them.
So if this happens, then that means that the pricing, I think from the pricing from like 2020 to 2025, has gone from like 18,000 per optic down to about 1,000. I think you can get them like a used secondhand for like 200.
So
right?
what did that allow you to do?
So that allows us to up the playing field, up the performance of what we're building, right? And so I remember for so many years we had, go back 20 years, and how long have we been working off of like 1 gig RJ45 jacks, in the data center, and all of a sudden the last couple of years, I know like at Big Scoots, we've in the last 3 years we've completely torn down and rebuilt our physical and virtual networks twice.
Wow.
Because of those changes, right? So now we offer, like I said, 400 gig optics, 100 gig optics, stand on our equipment, spine and leaf. All that stuff is affordable, whereas in the past it was not.
Got it. Preston, have you seen something similar for your company?
Yeah, almost an exact story. So, 400 gig today is nothing, right? So and it allows us to tap into those things with and pass it along to the customers.
Got it.
And what's beautiful about this is David can move faster. Goliath has a slow load. They have to upgrade all of those systems. They have a huge process to go through that. From our perspective, for example, we decided we no longer want to use SATA or SAS drives for our storage, and we wanted to go NVMe based completely natively. We did that for all of our cloud infrastructure in 2 months. Something like that for a massive scaled systems like Amazon or any of them, this is going to be a year's kind of process to complete. Same thing with 400 gig Ethernet. So for them, upgrading thousands of switches, it's going to be a massive undertaking. For us, we can rapidly move faster in our infrastructure to update to the new techs that are available.
I think it's important to think, about the hardware, and that's a really important element of what you're able to do. You're able to be nimble, as David, move quick. There's also, I think, a people element to this. companies that do their business on the internet, they don't want to do it by themselves. They want a partner that isn't necessarily, that is going to be in their corner. And I would imagine that these hyperscalers, these huge big box companies, that it is difficult to get that customer service. When it comes specifically to customer service, I'm going to go down the line, and I'd love to hear how you each feel about customer service and your specific approach to customer service. So James, I'll start with you. What is your approach to customer service?
I mean, I want to say that, like, first of all, I don't think the story has changed in the last 20 years, right? So you have the big companies that are they're focused on operational efficiency. At some level, we all are focused on that, right? But the difference is that, you know, when you work with smaller companies, I don't want to say we're not really small, but
we're fine.
we're established, right? But when you work with companies like ours, we are your business partner, right? And so every piece of that is a permeation into your business. Like everything we do, we're gonna sit there and help you design your network. We have flexibility in that, and you can get that, right? You can go to big box, you know, hyperscalers and get that, but you have to involve third parties. You have to have maybe an internal team. You might have a 20-person engineering team to control that, right? Whereas we take on a lot of that, you know, owning that infrastructure, and we are there to kind of help support that. And so I think it's situational. And then when it comes to like the, you know, like, working with clients and helping them, you know, get over the humps of like maybe launching their business or making a migration to go to another company. One story that kind of pops into my mind is when I first joined Big Scoots as their COO. I remember one of the first shows we were at. I had there was an IT director that came up to me, okay. And it was the first time that I'd ever heard a hosting company make someone cry.
Just poking them in the eyes.
For a good reason.
For a good reason.
Yes.
Okay, so
it wasn't a bad reason.
They come up to you at a trade show, and there's tears in their eyes.
Yes, and think of the weight, right? Like you have IT directors, you have small teams that are, you know, they see the sparkle. They see like the cloud can solve everything, right, for them, and they follow that light like a moth. And sometimes it works out, and like again, it's situational, right? But sometimes they get in over their head, right? And they were in over their head, over budget. And I don't even know how they found us, to be honest. They found us, and we were like, hey, we can solve those problems, and we'll migrate you, and we'll design these things, and let's start these meetings up, and we'll have QBRs, TBRs, we'll have all these things that they weren't getting. Mm-hmm. And I remember the story vividly. He said he went home that night after he'd been migrated, and he literally sobbed.
Wow.
And it's just it wasn't because, I mean, I think we're great, right? But it wasn't because we're great. It's because that weight had been lifted off of his shoulders, and that to me that's touching, right?
Yeah.
That's why I'm in this business, is to solve those type of problems for our clients.
It's stressful out there, and you had someone who was searching through the wilderness, found you because they needed something, and you weren't just an ant on a wall. You weren't just like a sliver of their bit. Like, this is important to you.
We are jumping in. That's what we do.
Tim.
To add to that, so we can say that, okay, we are there for our customers, and believe me, that's the truth. But also, we compete. We are there to compete for your business, to compete for actually your trust in us. So despite the fact, you know, there are hyperscalers, our market is an actual free market. And we are there to compete for your business and make sure that we are providing you a scalable, reliable solution. To add to that, we also are acting a lot of times as a systems engineers for a lot of our customers. So we're seeing them coming over to us and be like, oh, well, our Amazon bill is XX, like let's say $50,000 or something like that. And we're looking at their stack, their software stack, and we're seeing, okay, this is a functional system, yes, but it's a proof of concept system. It's not a scalable solution on the software level, and it's really inefficient in using the hardware. So from Amazon's perspective, they're seeing that, well, great for us. Yay, we're making more money off of the IOPS that you're actually ending up using. But from our perspective, we want you to be more efficient. We want you to be more cost effective in your utilization of the resources. So your success is our success. We actually flourish when you flourish with us.
Yeah, we're here to demonstrate value. Right?
Yes,
That's what we do.
absolutely. And those are things that you are not going to see when you're using Amazon. For example, like I worked as a CTO for a startup. I actually donated my time as a CTO for and they came over and they had a proof of concept. They went to market with it. From my perspective, the structure, the stack of the SQL database that they had was actually a proof of concept because it wasn't built on a scalable solution that can be efficiently using the resources that they have. We changed that completely. We moved it forward, and now it's a fully scalable solution, and they are able to use multi-cloud on that.
The other way I like to put it is that it really depends. Like, what matters is what happens after the sale. And I think that's a big difference with what.
I've taken your money, now go away.
Yeah,
Preston, I'd love to, customer service.
Yeah, relationship first, right? And the money always follows. That's my philosophy. It's what my sales team really strives for. Just focusing on, and really we're in the business to give freedom back to the customers, right? Part of this is bringing them to the table, right? It's Limestone's job is to find a scalable base platform that can be built upon for our customers and allowing them to do the final tweaking, because every customer's needs slightly different from the next for the most part. So giving them insight to, hey, here's where we procure our gear, here's what we standardize in our warehouse that can be shipped globally, anywhere you need it. And now let's make these final touches for you that's optimized for your use case, and allowing them to be a part of that, and honestly getting them closer to the metal, right? And getting them as close to that as they can. Bringing up the partnership. Like, that's a partnership. I get you guys probably all the time LinkedIn messages. It's just a sales guy. Hey, let's partner. Like, no, it's a good term when it's used right. Like, be a true partner. Don't just, if you just want to try to sell me something, tell me that's what you want to do. I'll probably take the call, right? But being a partner is absolutely key.
I love that. Preston, earlier backstage, you had made the comment about how you're going to worry about the money later. Like, you're going to focus on the human first. Do you have any examples of focusing on the human, the individual, and worrying about the money later?
Yeah. I don't know if I can name drop. But no.
I won't stop you.
Yeah. It's almost every one of our sales cycles, right? We get in there. We're not super, my sales team doesn't press. Like, you met us, you know where we're at. Like, honestly, we're not doing anything special. Like, super micro chassis is the same in my data center as in the next guy's data center, right? Like, so, like, we're not really competing at that level. Like, the customer, like, we buy a reputable brand, and, like, whatever, we have redundancies and everything out. So what's left? It's that personal relationship. So a good example is, we recently acquired a company, and we immediately reached out to their top largest customers, introduced us who we are, like the value that we're bringing, and the value that the Brisos that we just purchased is bringing to Limestone, right? It's iron sharpens iron, and that's the relationship. We're taking the best of them, taking the best of us, and creating a better environment for everybody, and bringing our philosophy, relationship first. So, and out of roughly about 30% of their top customers are already 2x their spend and everything. Wow. So just bringing in that relationship, and we weren't even approaching them to sell them anything. It's like, hey, here's what we're doing over here. How can we help you out? And then it just naturally came, right? So
that's fantastic. The best sale is made when you didn't have to sell anybody. Like, they asked for it. You were providing a service. You were solving a problem. That's pretty great. Tim, earlier you were talking about that we're all competitors here. Competition is fantastic. It's important. Capitalism, in my opinion, works best when we have true competition. And right now, it's feeling a little bit skewed in some ways. That do we have true competition? There are fewer hosting companies of similar size than there used to be. You guys are here and left and fighting the good fight. We talked briefly about the work that the I2 Coalition is doing to try and level some of that playing field. Talk briefly about what it means to compete in this regulatory market.
Absolutely. I mean, I want to go back to the competing part. So from my perspective, I've been in this industry since at least 2003. We've seen all the innovation happening on the cloud and all the, what new tech can provide. And quite frankly, usually, it's the small businesses that are developing the innovation, but in a sense, it changed a little where we had Amazon and all the big tech clouds that actually provided a cloud solution. And from my perspective, the main focus was the stability, the reliability, the scalability of these solutions. And that was a bit difficult on our side to scale that. But recently, we have new innovations. We've been able to partner up with OpenStack and other platforms that are allowing us now to give the same high availability, the same reliability and scalability of the big tech, and that has definitely changed the playing field. So we're no longer, having a lack of confidence of being able to provide you the kind of stability and reliability that you had from the big tech providers. When it comes to I2 coalitions, so this is very important. Right now, we are having a problem where the legislators are being a little bit more overzealous than they used to about regulating the internet. In these kind of scenarios, and you know how politics is here in the US, it's the people that have the lobbyists, the people that have the ears of the legislators are able to influence the changes that we're seeing. For small companies like us, we had a problem with representation. We've been unable to get our words, what we have to say, to the legislative branch to actually be able to be heard. I2 Coalition has done a fantastic job of being able to bring us together and allow us to speak with those legislators. We tell them what are our concerns about any kind of policies that they're bringing over to make sure that we still have the ability to compete against these big clouds.
Thank you. James, yeah, as an award recipient of the I2 Coalition, tell me a little bit more about your take on the importance of that regulatory process and leveling the playing field.
There's nothing more important, basically, right?
There you go.
What that means, so, like Tim said, I2 Coalition has been a vessel for good, right? A vessel of light. And it's primarily going to protect smaller hosting companies, but downstream, that's also for consumer rights, right? And we look at things. I think for years we've been dealing with like DMCA and other pieces out there, but there are pieces in DMCA that are like you have safe harbor, right, which allows us to kind of like fix the issue, right? And so as a hosting company, as a small hosting company, we are not publishers of content. We are the website owner is that publisher, and that's why we work with them. But there are things that are under threat right now, right? There are areas that are under threat. So if you look at like Section 230 of the Communication Decency Act, if anyone wants to look that up when you get time, if that was repealed, right, that goes away, that basically puts all of this like diversity in hosting. It could destroy it, to be honest, right? Because it would put the onus on us to police every bit of content, and we could be there's no safe harbor. We would be instantly obliterated, right? So what does that do? That drives up the cost of doing business. We have to vet all of our clients. We have to vet. We have to look at every upload of every file, right? And I understand there's a reasonable, something reasonable there. But so you have that. You also have, like DNS blocking, for instance, right? There, like we need to make sure that when you resolve a domain here, that it's the same as it resolves in India, right? So we do not want fragmentation of the internet. That would be bad for everyone. So. From a regulatory standpoint, I2 Coalition, they are the ones that that are helping us fight that good fight. As a matter of fact, it was just like 3 weeks ago, I think, that we were in Washington D.C. during the shutdown, and we were up there in Capitol Hill and talking to lawmakers and aides and everything else to make our case heard. And that's something we can do. It's very easy to get involved. Preston,
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So like, especially with legislators, like they are not really familiar with the stack. They come in, they get approached, and they're told, hey, we gotta do this. And they're not realizing that, the internet is built around circumventing things. Like this is, if you've seen what China has done, what any other country has done to try to block and filter things, people have just found a way to circumvent them. And then you are going to be putting the liability on the hosting providers, on ISPs, on eyeball networks, and maybe eventually transit providers. I don't know. We can't. Like, we have a major problem with this, and the overhead is tremendous. And then you're going to wonder about privacy. Then how much do you want transit providers, ISPs, and all of that looking into all of your content? That's a concerning point that I think everybody should be aware of.
We've already seen, in the last 10 years, the consolidation in carriers. I don't know if you know, at your data centers, like the options they keep this acquisition and merges.
Well, that's basically mainly because of the hyperscalers too. So I'm gonna add on the whole Goliath situation. So hyperscalers are not only affecting hosting providers, right? And I can tell you this the same as you would talk about climate change and how bad it is, but probably it's not going to make you change your mind about using them. But hyperscalers, they are concentrating the content of the internet. The internet is designed to be a distributed network, right? So the minute that we are starting to have all the compute, all the storage, all the IP transit that's going to three separate entities, for example, the impact of, for example, on hardware manufacturing, on hardware development, they are going to be dependent on these big clouds to actually use their hardware, for example. So then you end up in a situation that innovation on that is going to take a hit. Then you're going to look at IP transit, for example, data center service providers, for example. If you are an eyeball network, that means an ISP, like a DSL or anything like that, and you're seeing 90% of your traffic going to those big three clouds, then you're not going to invest in an IP transit service provider. So then it's going to decrease the ability of the internet actually to be the fast internet that connects the world together. It's just going to connect you to those big three clouds, and then we are going to naturally get into a walled garden situation. And that's something that tried to happen in the 90s and failed miserably. And now we're looking at another stage of doing the exact same thing, and I hope we are not doing that.
Right. So, Tim, we were backstage a little bit, and you were talking about the lock-in that happens with these large companies. And there are some things that are obvious that, like, oh, well, yeah, they want to retain them, or their pricing, or different things. But there may be some additional things that we were discussing about how companies treat their engineers, or the dependencies that they may have or put on these hyperscalers. Talk a little bit about those dependencies.
So I think everyone really here knows about like the dependencies that Amazon or any of the big tech are creating. They're making it easier for startups to actually come in and start developing their systems. But the problem with that is they are locking you down on their proprietary software. Now, us as a hosting providers have always stuck on, we are going to be as low on the stack as possible to allow you to innovate on the software stack, avoiding trying to compete on that level. But from their perspective, they are doing their best to have you to use their proprietary technology, which makes it impossible for you to go into a multi-cloud situation. And that's because they want to keep you there. For example, you look at their egress bandwidth pricing. So I'm a network engineer at heart, and that's something that we have went in and tried to evaluate our pricing, for example, for our cloud solution. And looked at our pricing, and we are less than 10% of what actually Amazon provides. So we wondered why. If it's economy of scale, great, then we should actually be more expensive than Amazon. So why are we that much less expensive than them? And then you wonder, how does that impact the customer? So if the customer is trying to go and provide a multi-cloud solution, create a development cloud stack at, for example, I don't know, any other hosting provider, and then communicate that with the AWS cluster cloud that they have, then that's a massive increase in bandwidth pricing. That is unnecessary, but that locks down the customer. Dynamo database, for example, well, that's really Postgres. That's MariaDB. They just changed it a little, so you're locked into that.
Well, and the apples to apples comparison and pricing is one thing, but we were talking earlier about like, there's additional value creation. This kind of brings it full circle, where we provide, there's engineering expertise, there's account management and all these things, and so the value is just like, it's outstanding when you look at these the companies of our size, how we get involved.
Don't be scared. Like, it's not
Do not be scared.
It's not rocket science to migrate out of AWS or any of the big cloud. The solutions are out there. You are able to do it. You just need to have the will and the cost savings, the scalability solutions, the reliability that you're going to have. It's going to be the same. It's just going to give you more independency and ability to be more creative.
And we're going to help you understand, if you don't already, things like RTO, RPO, 3211 backup policies, disaster recovery, business continuity. These are, and hold our feet to the fire. That's what we love to have clients come to us and say, like, prove it, and we're like, yeah, we'll prove it.
I mean, our systems are all high availability. We can pull out the server, and your cluster, your VMs are all active, to remain active.
Yeah.
No, get your freedom back, right? Stop being so dependent, and then it's not that hard, and we're here to help you through it all.
Yeah. Preston, I want to talk real quick about who you feel, what types of companies are your favorite? Like, who do you feel like we are such a good fit for them? And like, I'd love to kind of just paint us that picture for an ideal customers.
Personally, my favorite is passionate owners, so that are willing to share their vision with us and allow us to be a part of that, right? I find, obviously, I love limestone growing, but it's only growing because our customers are growing and them investing that visibility into me. Those types of customers, and it ranges from industry to industry, right? There's passionate owners in this industry, passionate and not so passionate ones over here, So I think not necessarily, I don't know if I have an answer for like a specific industry, but just passionate owners and them looking for equally passionate owners.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. Is that it's not about the industry, it is about the passion and people who are out in this wilderness looking for a partner, looking for someone who is going to have their back. And what's great, I think, about a partnership between your type of hosting company is that there is shared success. Is that when you're successful and when you grow, we make more money too. Like it all works. Whereas with these large hyperscalers, it's such a fractional sliver of their business.
They're making more money than you.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Money is not their problem. And will you go above and beyond? Yeah, Preston, any other examples of, I love this idea of passion, of how you see these customers working with you.
Example of one?
Yeah. Like who was someone that was passionate? You can name names if you want, but like someone who was passionate, like, yep, you get it.
It's a good question.
I just like to see the energy. Like I feed off the energy as well.
I have one.
You have one?
Yeah, go for it.
We have a customer with big data. It was amazing for them, the amount of cost savings that they actually ended up with when they moved their data to us. And then we moved their data to NVMe-based storage. Now that has the big data and SQL queries and querying that database and the storage. It just started flying off the rocker. It's just much faster than they've ever used to. So that decreased not only the cost for them, because they are no longer having a customer wait that long for their search queries. That just increased the overhead of the CPU, of the RAM, of their systems. So it just had a great cascading effect on the performance.
Yeah.
I will say that, so we work primarily with agencies, like web agencies these days. And to me, the most exciting thing is to, we'll be talking to an agency, trying to vet them, right? And we'll ask them, what have you always wanted? What don't you have, right? And we know the answer is we can do that, right?
Yeah.
But in-house we have about a 15-person development team, right? And so they'll come up with crazy things like, we wish we had this feature, or that our servers were this way, or we had this button on this interface or on our account or whatever. And we'll say, migrate and give us 72 hours.
Wow.
And we'll make that happen, right? And so that's exciting. So we for us, like, I get excited about the energy of these incoming clients, but then there's that like snowball effect. So like I feel like everyone here, once we capture clients and they see what it can be, there's something very like it's for me, it's why I'm in business, right? I like to see that continue on, right? That's like you said, Preston. It's not about just the immediate sale, right? It's where we truly enjoy what we do, and it's why we're still here after 20, 30 years, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a lot of favorite clients, but one of my favorites of favorites. So they actually just started doing business with us about 5 years ago, and started deploying with us in the New York region. And I get a call from them. They're like, hey, our provider, and I won't drop a name, is threatening to, we're under basically review. Like, do they want our business? And they're like, do you have Frankfurt? And we didn't have Frankfurt at the time. And internally, we nicknamed it the black site, right? So we're like, okay, how can we help this customer out? At the time, they were new. And, they just took on seed money, and, they're right prime, right, to just, explosive growth, And so we called in a few favors, and me and my CTO went out and launched a net new POP. Within 8 business days, we flew in, boxed up the cores and everything, flew on the plane with us, walked through customs, paid what we had to pay through there, went there, deployed a couple of racks, just like minimum. Like, here's what your edge nodes that you need. So just in case they decide to kick you off or turn you off this weekend, you're still okay.
You're set.
And 8 days we turned that around for them.
Oh,
and,
man.
Like, obviously that went a long way to them, right, So, but that wasn't necessarily our intention, So it's just a fair byproduct, and that relationship has now come to, okay, how much more of our workload can we move over off of Oracle into a bare metal environment?
Beautiful.
And then so we put together a migration plan for them, and then still today we haven't even executed it because they're growing so fast. They just put all the new workloads on the bare metal, and like we don't even have time to go look at what we're doing at Oracle and to bring it over. So, but like that's probably one of my favorite examples.
I love it. That's what we're talking about, that enthusiasm. So I will say it for you. If you are an enthusiastic business owner and you're looking for more than just a giant big box partner, you want someone who's actually going to be a partner, I think please give a round of applause to James, Tim, and Preston for sharing with us their expertise. And if you would like to find out more about their companies, how do they find you?
BigScoots.com.
SharkTech.net, and really, I'm on LinkedIn.
LimestoneNetworks.com.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon.